You walk into property A and it feels perfect. The light, the staging, the view, everything just works. Then you walk into property B and it feels fine, nothing special. And in that moment, the decision feels obvious. But 6 months later, something uncomfortable happens. The one that impressed you first turns out to be the weaker decision. And the one you almost dismissed quietly proves to be the better, more resilient choice. The difficulty is that presentation reveals itself immediately. Fundamentals reveal themselves slowly. And when you compare properties, especially here in the Algarve, first impressions tend to win very quickly, even when the long-term logic points somewhere else. So in this video, I want to show you a simple way to compare two properties more objectively. Not just based on how they feel in the moment, but on the things that usually matter most over time. Let me show you what I mean. Recently, I compared two properties in Vilamoura. One was a beautifully staged apartment right next to the marina. Expensive, polished, very easy to like. The other was a quieter, slightly older villa set back from the center. Most buyers would choose the apartment within minutes. But when you step back and compare them properly, the villa comes out ahead on almost every fundamental. Not because it's more exciting, but because it's more predictable, more flexible, and ultimately more resilient over time. And that changes the decision completely. Before we break that down, there's a simpler way to approach this. Because when everything about a property is designed to influence how you feel, it helps to have a structure that keeps the decision clear. And when you compare properties properly, everything usually comes back to four things: price and value, location and context, structure and condition, use and lifestyle. Now let's go back to those two properties and walk through them using this lens. Property A, the apartment, sits right next to the marina. It's visually impressive. High-end staging, strong rental appeal, immediate wow factor. Property B, the villa, is set further back. It's quieter, less dramatic at first glance, but more private, more balanced, and more consistent in how it feels. Now, if you rely on instinct, A usually wins. But when you slow the decision down, the picture changes. On price and value, the apartment carries a premium per square meter, largely driven by presentation and proximity. The villa, while less striking, offers more space and more efficient entry point. On location, A wins on proximity and energy, but B wins on comfort, noise levels, and long-term livability. On structure and condition, A shows signs of recent cosmetic improvement, but lacks clarity around past issues. B is older, but consistent, well-maintained, and easier to understand. And over time, that predictability matters. On use and lifestyle, A, the apartment, leans towards short-term rental performance. B, the villa, adapts better. It works for living, for renting, for flexibility over time. And when you step back and look at all four together, the decision becomes quieter but clearer. The villa isn't the exciting choice. It's the one that holds up. This is where many decisions quietly go wrong. People focus on the headline price, but not always on what they're actually getting. A simple way to reset this is to normalize the numbers. Price per square meter, price per bedroom, relative position within the local market. Because once you do that, you often discover that the most attractive property is simply the most presented one, not necessarily the best value. And over time, that difference tends to reveal itself. Location is not just the name of the area, it's the exact position within it. In places like Vilamoura, Quarteira, Quinta do Lago, or Vale do Lobo, a difference of a few hundred meters can completely change the noise, privacy, walkability, and long-term desirability. Sophisticated buyers don't just ask, is this in the right area? They ask, exactly where, and what does that mean over time? This is the quiet backbone of the decision, and it's where appearances are often most misleading. Some properties are designed and maintained with consistency, others are improved in layers, often to sell. On the surface, they can look very similar, but one is predictable, the other isn't. And unpredictability is where cost, effort, and friction usually appear later. So the question isn't just, does this look good today? It's, how confident am I in this 5 years from now? This is where the decision becomes personal, but still needs discipline. A property can feel perfect for a short stay and quietly fail in everyday life. Think about how you will actually use it. Full-time or part-time, private use or rental, family dynamics over time. The properties that hold their value, financially and emotionally, are usually the ones that adapt, not just the ones that impress. Now, here's how you make this practical. Take the two properties you are comparing. Write down the 4 pillars and give each one a simple score from 1 to 5. You can weigh them based on what matters most to you. This isn't about precision. It's about creating enough structure so that your decision isn't driven purely by the moment. Because the moment is persuasive, but it isn't always reliable. You don't need spreadsheets, just a simple discipline. Define what matters, compare consistently, and let clarity emerge from the process. At this stage, when you are buying property in the Algarve, you are not just choosing something that looks good. You are making a long-term decision about capital, lifestyle, and flexibility. So the next time you walk into 2 properties, don't just ask, which one do I like more? Ask, which one holds up? Which one makes sense beyond today? Which one will still feel right in 10 years? Because the best decisions rarely feel obvious in a moment, but they feel right for a very long time. And if you want to improve the quality of your decisions even further, the previous video in this series pairs very natural with this one. In that video, I'll walk through the subtle warning signs many buyers miss during a viewing. The kinds of details that often explain why one property holds up over time and another doesn't. Think of that video as a signal detection system during the viewing, and this one as the framework for comparing what you've seen afterwards. And if you'd like to continue this line of thinking, the next video compares Vilamoura and Quinta do Lago on pure fundamentals. Not branding or marketing, but long-term value and lifestyle, and how each town tends to behave over time. So if you are narrowing down between those 2 areas, the next video is designed to help you choose with more clarity and less guesswork. I'd genuinely be interested to hear how you approach this yourself. When you compare two properties, are you mostly guided by instinct and first impressions, or do you already have a more structured way of thinking about it? If you are comfortable, share your thoughts in the comments. Some of the most useful conversations happen there. If you are considering buying property in the Algarve and you want your decisions grounded more in fundamentals than impressions, you may find it useful to stay with the series so you don't miss the next video.